Hello, BookTube. I've had a horrible day. This is Weekly Reads. I started my reading week with Rome and Persia by Adrian Goldsworthy. This is a history that explores the relationship between the Roman Empire and the only empire that Rome kind of sort of saw as an equal, and that was the Parthian and Sasanian Persian empires. So the Parthians were a people who gradually conquered the eastern parts of the Seleucid Empire, the Persian heartlands. And the Sasanians were a dynasty that replaced them centuries later. So the contact between Rome and Persia, or in this case the Parthians, started in the early 1st century BCE or BC, and ended with the conquest of the Sasanians in the mid 7th century CE or AD, however you want to use those terms, by the Arab expansion, the Arab conquests. If you notice, I still have my bookmark in here, and that's because I built on the book late on Saturday. The title is Rome and Persia, but really it should be Rome and Persia. The book is written from the Roman perspective. The sources are, for the most part, for the vast majority, Roman sources, and the Parthians definitely get short shrift. The Sasanians, I think, get a little bit more attention. I didn't stick around long enough to find out, because by that point I had largely given up on the book. But that was disappointing that this really isn't an equal exploration of the two powers. It's mostly a Roman history that focuses on Rome's relationship with the Parthians and later the Sasanians, and also Rome's relationships with those kingdoms and states that were in their eastern orbit that were gradually absorbed over the centuries. So that was disappointing because I was really looking forward to this book because I wanted a history of the Parthians and the Sasanians, which, yeah, this book really isn't. I mean, there's a little bit, but not much. But as I was reading the book, I started to get a nagging suspicion that I'm not really all that fond of Adrian Goldsworthy's writing. It's been quite some time since I read Goldsworthy's earlier book, or most recent book, Philip and Alexander, and I didn't like that much. And now I'm thinking back, am I really all that fond of either the fall of Rome or the Punic Wars? I mean, it's been a long time since I've read either one, even though I do have the Punic Wars in my collection. So, I don't know. I don't know if it's just I'm very disappointed that this isn't a book that's equal in its subject matter, that it's a Roman history, not a Rome and Persian history. Or is it I'm just not all that fond of Goldsworthy's writing and that there's really nobody else writing on these subjects? I don't know. Anyway, so I gave up on Rome and Persia on Saturday, although I don't know if I might still come back to it. That's why I still have my bookmark in there, or I might just pick it up. I don't know. Anyway, enough of that. So on Sunday, I read the two collections of poetry I picked up this last week. Seed Celestial by Sara or Burnett, and Mass for Shut-ins by Mary Alice Daniel. So, Seed Celestial is a rather good collection. I liked quite a few of the poems. Some of them didn't quite hit with me, but yeah, I liked it well enough. And I liked Mass for Shut-ins by Mary Alice Daniel a little bit more. More of the poems hit with me, so that was great. My only issue with this book, or one of my issues, is that for some odd reason, and I think Yale actually does this with its poetry, which is a complete waste of paper, is, yeah. Basically, if a poem is like a single page, the next page is blank, and that just bugs me to no end. But it's a good collection. And I do want to pick up, I think, more poetry. I don't know. I'll get to that at the end of my recap of my reading and what's going to pass for what I'm going to be reading this coming week. Anyway, so most of my reading week has been devoted to Death Note by Tsugumi Ohba and Takeshi Obata. I always forget their names because it's a writer artist tag team. So Death Note is one of the major manga series of the early 21st century. It's the story of a young Japanese high school senior named Light Yagami who is brilliant. He is the top student in Japan. One day, a bored Light discovers a Death Note, a note dropped by the Shinigami Grim Reaper named Ryuk. Light experiments with the Death Note, discovers that it is real, that he can kill people by writing their names in it, and he sets out on a quest to purify the world, to create a new world of justice in which he will be its god. Light then becomes the serial killer known as Kira. Eventually, the police agencies of the world are cajoled and pooling their resources together to try to apprehend Kira under the leadership of L, a private consulting detective who is every bit as brilliant as Light is. L discovers that Kira is located in Japan and centers his investigation there. And thus begins a cat and mouse game between Light and L, and later L's two successors once L is killed. So, yeah. So this is a massive series, though. And this was an experience reading this book. I had read the first 2 volumes years ago. I know I'd read the first volume, and now I know I've read the second one. But I hadn't read past that. And so I finally read the entire series, and I have mixed thoughts on it. On the one hand, there are some really effective arcs and plots and characterization. And there are parts where the series drags quite a bit. Particularly like the Yotsuba arc, when, as part of a Gambit, Light loses his memories of the Death Note and becomes part of the investigation into Kira. That kind of went on a bit too long, dragged. Some of the interpersonal relationships were particularly like Miss Misa. But there are some really amazing moments. The relationship between Light and L, and the sort of competition between L's successors, Near and Mello, over who would eventually capture Kira, is really brilliant. And it was, for a crappy day, immensely satisfying watching Light Yagami get his comeuppance. So yeah, I liked it, and Yeah. I mean, I guess I have mixed thoughts on it. I liked it, but I didn't love it. It isn't quite my taste. Um, I guess it's more because I am much more of a more traditional fantasy fan than I am sort of this urban psychological thriller fantasy. So, but the artwork is amazing. Obata's art is just brilliant. There's that. I'm not going to get too far in, so I don't spoil it in case you're interested. Um, so here's a cover, chapter cover illustration. Here's some of that next thing. There's Light and L. It's really interesting. So, yeah. Anyway, so that was Death Note. So now let's try to put this back in its box. Which I'm not entirely sure why they had this on there. But they did. Anyway. So now I can go back to holding up the rest of the Seven Deadly Sins. So that brings me to this coming reading week. I think on Saturday I will read 7 volumes of manga. I want to get to Demons of the Shadow Realm Volume 2 by Hiromu Arakawa. I also want to read the 6 volumes of Demon Slayer I have by Koyoharu Gotouge from volume 7 to 12. And then on Sunday, I think I'm going to read all of Evie Shockley that I have, which are Semiautomatic, The New Black, and A Half-Red Sea. And I don't know what I'm going to do over the course of the work week. I'm feeling really down today. This hasn't been a particularly pleasant week. And today has been, as I said earlier, just completely horrific. I had to do there was some electronic errand I had to do, and it went horribly. And it just, yeah, I don't want to think about it. Hopefully I can come back to it on Monday and it won't be as annoying, or I can try to get some help to sort of figure out a way to get through this problem. Anyway, so I was thinking of doing a writing video today, since my weekly reads would be later than normal. But I had that errand to do, and I'm really not entirely sure how to approach writing videos. Because, I guess I could do like updates and stuff, but that's just not really all that satisfying for me. So I don't know quite how I want to do it, if I want to do it. Anyway, but maybe watching Steve's stream either later this evening or tonight or sometime over the weekend will give me some motivation. I don't know. Or not. Again, hopefully I have a better weekend and next week is much better. I really feel like I need some retail therapy. Anyway, that's all I got for this week, BookTube. Thank you. Have a great, hopefully you had a much, anyway. Thank you, BookTube. Have a great evening and weekend until I hopefully see you on Monday. Stay safe.